some students who are admission seekers, some who are still in a buzz that should we join or not, and those who are already pursuing the pharmacy course here, to this webinar 2 regarding growing opportunities in pharmacy profession. And I welcome our today's speaker, Mr. Manish Narang, Director Medical Affairs, Abbott Vascular. A very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar.
Yeah. So like this is just, a virtual bouquet. I hope you would accept it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah. So with your kind permission, like since you don't know much about the Lloyd, although ma'am briefed it quite, but still I would like to give a brief snapshot if you give me kind permission.
Please, yeah.
Yeah. Lloyd Institute of Management and Technology was established in the year 2004. And after passing the 2 successful UG batches, we established post-graduation in the subject of pharmaceutics in the year 2010. And thereafter in 2011, we started M-Pharmacy in Quality Assurance. In 2016, Lloyd launched a very, I should say, a very good opportunity for all the job seekers, that is Niyukti, the job mela or the Lloyd Job Fest, where all the industrialists, the job seekers, they come on a common platform, the institutes around us and across, they come over, and the industrialists and the people, they select their employees as well as the employer is also chosen. In 2018, for the quality education, we got the recognition from the NBA, and that was another milestone in promoting international quality standard for technical education. In the same year, we also collaborated with DIPSRU. That's the only pharmaceutical university in India for the academic and research purpose. So these are just few milestones and many more to come. In 2020, we started a diploma in law and pharmacy, and the batches are still going on. In the year 2021, we were established as an approved research center for the research purpose. We also received award for the best pharmacy college in Uttar Pradesh for outstanding and exemplary contribution towards education and research. We also started the PG studies in the 3rd subject, that is M-Pharm in pharmacology. And now we also have another campus. We are growing actually in the terms of physical as well. There is one institute which is called Lloyd Institute of Management Technology, and the other one is Lloyd School of Pharmacy. In 2022, the current year, like we are having so many collaboration, as already ma'am briefed to you. So one of the colleges is also the Daleview College, and other research collaborations are still under process. So there are many more years and many more achievements to come. So these are some of the, sophisticated lab which has been established here, the modular weather research work, the projects which we were talking about is going on. Another lab which has the Ligan Scout software for the molecular studies has also been established. And recently, as already acknowledged, the DSIR approval, that is a big recognition which we got as scientific and industrial research organization. So we have been the recognized DSIR institute now. So some of our USP, I can just give a keynote. We have NBA accreditation, research collaboration, skill development programs, DSI approval, Niyukti Job Fest. And also besides that, our analytical and research facility is ISO 9001-2015 certified. All is because of this competent talent and faculty. And Lloyd Institute of Management Technology has a rich legacy of promoting contemporary education and strongly support the outcome-based education. So with the same motive, we are organizing such webinars, to grow that professional front and the students so that they can learn from industrialists like you. Well, this all has been possible by the continuous dedication, effort, and competence of our group director, ma'am, Dr. Vandana Arora Sethi. And ma'am, as you already we had a word about that, she was a year or 2 junior, if I'm not wrong. So otherwise, I would like to brief her here also as well. Ma'am, please, may I?
It's not really needed, but Manish sir already knows me. We've it, and so does the audience. So it wouldn't be needed. Thank you for this, Kumar.
Okay. So ma'am, would you like to address? Or maybe later.
So I would really take this opportunity, and I can't miss this, to welcome Manish sir on this panel with us. And we're really looking forward to a lot of enriching information about pharmacy profession. A lot of students, like Kumud, you already said, are new to pharmacy arena here. A lot of students were aspiring to get into pharmacy profession, but are either misguided or have little guidance about what pharmacy profession has in store for us. Manish sir being, such an personality in pharmacy profession that we really look up to, and he's been in the industry for more than 2 decades now. And we're really looking forward to what he has to tell us about pharmacy profession. So looking forward, and I really want to understand myself also what industry is doing in pharmacy profession in these days. So post, I think 40-45 minutes that sir has a session for, sir, be ready for some questions from the faculty as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for the warm welcome, Dr. Kumud, Dr. Vandana. I think you already have kind of set the expectation quite high for me to deliver. And as I said, I'll try and keep the talk very casual. I understand there are students who are aspiring to join the profession. 30 years back, we were in the same situation as well. And I'll talk very briefly about that as well. So thank you a lot for the opportunity, and I'll try and do justice to the time that everyone has taken out. So can I start sharing my screen? Yeah. Typically, I would not present too many slides. Is my slides visible now?
Not as of now, sir.
Not as of now. Just bear with me.
Yeah.
How about?
Yeah, now it is visible.
Yeah.
Could you just please put it on this? So yeah, it's quite fine now.
So there was a trend in corporate when people were very heavy on PowerPoint slides. I think that has given away to more lighter slides, if not no slides. I even at times for my official meetings used you use A4 size posted stems and do more of a engagement rather than just doing a didactic through a PowerPoint deck. But I understand in a virtual environment there would be limitations. So the way I am going to speak in the next 30-35 minutes is telling you about some of my practical experiences, my journey in my professional career. And I have slightly changed the talk to talk about our expectations of our parents. So the title of my talk, instead of growing opportunities, I have kept it as Papa Kehte Hain Bada Naam Karega. I think when we join any career or we take up any career, that's what we really aspire to, that we make our parents feel proud. And being a parent myself with a college going son, it's even more important, and I can relate to it. So my name is Manish Narang. I am currently working as Director for Medical Affairs at Abbott, as Dr. Kumud mentioned. I've done my graduation and post-graduation from Jamia Hamdard, which again, for the 4th year in succession, was ranked as the top pharmacy college. I am currently also pursuing a PhD in, it's a part-time PhD in intravascular imaging from MIT University. I have an experience of close to 25 years in the industry, and I'll talk about that. But before that, just to set the context, I do want to put a few disclaimers, because some of what you'll see in the slide deck is kind of directly related to it. So I am an active filmmaker and continue to be an aspiring actor. I've acted in a couple of small family productions. My sister and my brother-in-law, they are into documentary making. I'm a big Bachchan fan, and you'll see a lot of it. A sports enthusiast, and obviously my biggest introduction is as a pharmaceutical professional. I am into the business of saving human lives through cardiovascular research that I do at Abbott, and I've been doing it for the last 22 years. So just a glimpse of my other side, which is not really visible to the professional world. So before we start, what I thought was, let me show you some context of various career options in pharmacy. And when you Google career options in pharmacy, you do get close to 116 million search options in less than 1 second. So the question would be, do I really need to talk about career options? Assuming 99% of these hits are wrong, you still are talking about a lack of good and reliable search options on what is a good career in pharmacy. Even if you do another 99% as a faulty search, you still end up with about 1,000 plus genuine, credible information on internet on what would be a good career option in pharmacy, what you could do after doing it. And if at all you don't want to spend time reading about it, there's always a YouTube channel, and I told that our current talk is also going live on YouTube. So there is a lot of options. So why would you want to listen from someone like me and or some of my peers in the industry? I think the answer to that is that what you see on the internet is very different from how a person is going to talk about it. As I said, I'm going to talk about my professional journey, what I did in all these 25, 30 years of my student life plus professional life. What were some of the challenges I faced? What were some of the mistakes I came across? And how I overcome those mistakes if I were able to. So if I briefly talk to you about my journey, let me minimize it. Yeah. So I enrolled in pharmacy in year 1991 for the course of graduation in pharmacy, undergraduate course, and then subsequently did my post-graduation from Jamia Hamdard as well. After that, I joined Ranbaxy Laboratories, which was setting up its clinical research unit in 1997. While I was in college, I was not a very typical laboratory kind of person, except for the first few months. I think that's what I realized, that this isn't what I really want to do. I was more into talking to people, more into organizing things like college festivals, like college magazines, even the placement tours. I liked building interpersonal relations. I was quite friendly with my seniors, my juniors, even the colleagues from other different colleges, and a bit of risk taker as well. And I'll tell you how that helped me subsequently in my career. So as I said, I joined Ranbaxy in 1997. It was a time when Ranbaxy was setting up its clinical research unit, probably the first of its kind in India. So a very novel field in terms of pharmacy, in terms of career in pharmacy. So I took that risk. I joined clinical research, and that really shaped my career all throughout. In 2002, I joined this company called Guidant, which was eventually taken over by Abbott Laboratories. Guidant was into medical devices, cardiac medical devices. Again, very limited presence in the region, very limited experience people had on medical devices in India. And I was taken up for doing an Asia Pacific role. So I was given this opportunity, and I think retrospectively, 20 years later, I think my life changed totally by switching from the pharmaceutical side to the medical device side. Nowadays, because of the regulatory reasons, these two are considered as kind of an allied field. But I think back then there was some connect between pharmaceutical world and medical devices. But I think now the regulatory environment has changed, and it comes under the same drug control department. I worked there in Abbott Guidant for almost 9 years, set up a lot of teams there, did a lot of novel work there. And in 2011, actually late 2010, I got this opportunity to start a new company in India called The Medicines Company. It was a US-based company, a very small organization of 400 people who were looking to expand into Asia Pacific market. So I started as a first employee of The Medicines Company in Asia rather, and set up their commercial operations as well as the consulting wing of the company. There's a very interesting case study about The Medicines Company, which you can Google later and find out. But then the company had to wind up its international operations a few years later. I wasn't the culprit, but yeah, there were a lot of other reasons why the company changed its strategy and decided to close its operations. And I came back again to Abbott in 2016, where I'm still continuing as the Director for Medical Affairs. So I'll take you back to 1991 and ask this question. I'm sure a lot of you are at the crossroads now. How do we choose our career path? So when I decided to join pharmacy, there were three career options. First one was, if you are a science student, you either go in for a medical degree, try and become a doctor if you are in the biology, or if you don't have biology and have maths, you try for engineering. Fortunately, unfortunately, I had both. So for me, the two options were either try for medicine or try for engineering. And if you are from the commerce side, you try and become a CA. These were the three main options that were available back in 1991. And I didn't become a medical doctor. I didn't become an engineer. I could crack any of those entrance exams. And then someone in the family told about pharmacy as a career option. My understanding of pharmacy back then was that you need to have a license, or probably even not that, to open a chemist shop. That was my understanding of pharmacy when I started my career, or when I enrolled in the college back in 1991, with a name that I'll spend maybe a week or two there, talk to people, see how it is, and then if I like it, I'll take it up. If I don't, I was already enrolled at Delhi University for the zoology honors course, which again I thought was a stopgap arrangement to try for medicine again next year. So really the first 2 weeks when I met with my colleagues in the college, our seniors, our teachers, that's where I got to know a bit more of pharmacy as a profession, and got to know that yes, it could be a decent option. Again, knowing very limited back then what I will eventually become, or what are the actual career options, and then think about it as a long-term career. But then at least I was convinced to extend my stay in the college beyond those 2 weeks. Eventually, I started quite liking the course and liking the environment. I was, as I said, from Jamia Hamdard, so very different exposure for me, and ended up doing my undergrad there. And while I was in the third year or final year, I also start off pursuing my post-graduation, enrolled for the NEET exam, cracked that, and completed my post-graduation there as well. Still, did I have a very good career plan after I completed my post-graduation? The answer is, again, I'll be very honest, no. My father still used to think that it would have been better if I appeared for the pre-medical exam once again, and instead of doing pharmacy, would have been more happy doing a medical degree. Only few years later, when I was kind of doing well in my professional career, did I tell him that, hey father, I already have 5 doctors working under me, so I don't have any regrets, and I'll talk about that as well. So the question to you, and I don't know whether there is an option of people to respond, is, are you aware of what kind of career path you are signing up for? Again, from experience, a lot of people don't know about it, and it is absolutely fair to say that a lot of careers are decided by our parents. Nothing wrong in it. I decided, or kind of I consulted my son when he chose to take up engineering. But I have one thing I can say with all honesty and with all confidence, that whomsoever I have referred to take up pharmacy as a career, I have done it with all sincerity. I have got some of my cousins, my nephew, my niece enrolled in pharmacy course in various colleges wherever they are. In fact, one of them is coming later today to me for some career guidance. And I'll tell you the reason for that, why I think pharmacy as a career is even better than medicine at times. In my role, I work with doctors a lot. I am responsible for medical affairs, talking people about how to set up medical research. And all of them are doctors working in hospitals, not just in India, but across Asia Pacific, countries like Japan, Korea, Australia, China, you name a Asian country, I have some project going on there. And when I look at doctors in India specifically, it takes about anywhere between 15 to 20 years to make a good career in medicine. And with good career, I'm talking about really successful doctors who are at peak of their career, have a lot of good social respect, and earn well for themselves as well. And this is after going through a lot of hard work in preparing for your exams, your undergrad, postgrad, your DMs, etc., etc. 20 years is a long time these days. 20 years in an IT, you would probably be retiring by now. But 20 years in pharmacy, I can say it very confidently, is a very, very good time to make a good, comfortable career for yourself. And we'll look into some of the career options later. So in my personal opinion, my personal view, I even rank pharmacy as a career somewhat better than medicine. As I said, I work with doctors every day, and by working with doctors, I get their first-hand experience in their life, in their professional careers as well. A lot of them are frustrated a lot. They have to spend a lot of time in the office with the patients in the hospital. They always complain of not having a good personal life. And when they look at people from on the other side, I think that's something they definitely envy. So with that, let me ask you again in the setting of a virtual environment, what are our career goals or life goals when we take up any career option? And what I had thought was I'll type these as we speak, but let's see how best we could do that. So anyone who's in the audience, either the faculty or the students, could talk about what are their career goals, and it need not be in any order. Maybe I can start with the first one, let's say security. That could be a good career goal. And Dr. Kumud, is there an option to check if people are posting on chat box? Probably, yeah. So anyone who wants to...
So chat box is enabled. They can post here.
Okay,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
Raised the hand.
Yeah.
But I will not spend too much time on it.
Preetima,
if there
please,
are...
can you look into it? Preetima? Yeah.
मेरे end से मुझे नहीं दिख रहा है कोई भी.
No problems. Let's not complicate it then.
Okay.
So security obviously is one. Then people obviously want to have a good finances, right? And when I say security, it's overall, or maybe security is not the right word. Let me start with finances. You want to be financially stable. You want to do a respectable job. Then I think the third thing could be how society looks at it. So that has a lot of value on which profession do you take. Ability to contribute. And then probably the last one could be, and again, in India, we always try and work for our next generation as well. So future of our next gen. I think these are some of the things we look into when we are talking about our career goals. We want a financially stable job. We want respect from the society. We want respect from our colleagues, do a respectable job. And then we also want, sorry for the typo, ability to contribute back to the mankind. And we want to have something which is good for our future and next gen as well. Any doctor wants the son to become a doctor or the daughter to become a doctor as well. An actor wants his or her children to become the actors as well. And let's see whether pharmacy gives you this kind of provision or options or not. So before we talk about any career, there are two types of career which are commonly known, either as a corporate or as a non-corporate. And corporate life doesn't always mean you are in a suit and jacket. And non-corporate doesn't always mean you are in your casuals. There's a lot of interplay between how you present at work, what you do at work. Nowadays, a lot of corporates don't expect you to be in a tie or in a jacket every day. I mean, all they want to know is that you are doing your job properly, you are dressed properly for the occasion. If there's a meeting, obviously you are expected to be in a formal attire and all. But those are very surface level things. I think the deeper things when you try and pick a career for you is, in corporate, there's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of timelines. You are answerable to a lot of people. There are projects, there are project plans to be adhered to, and you are responsible to the shareholders of that particular corporate. You are responsible for your professional journey, and etc. etc. A non-corporate life is more of my personal life. I decide what I want to do. And again, there are different dynamics to it. So the first thing that you choose whenever you think of a career is, do I need to look for a corporate kind of life after my curriculum, or I want to look for a non-corporate life? And let's look into corporate first, and then we go into the non-corporate and see what are the different options that you have. As I said, there is a lot of mix between or overlap between corporate and non-corporate nowadays. Even some of the institutes, the hospitals are run like a corporate, the pharmacies are run like a corporate, and so are various other things, which typically were non-corporate some time back. So the first and foremost job that comes to anyone's mind is sales. Even if you want to buy a Rolls Royce for 3 crore rupees, someone has to sell it. Or if you buy a tablet for 1 rupee, that has to be sold. So sales is the most common job that's available. There are different thoughts about sales as a career. There are different people who think differently about sales as a career. A lot of them think sales anyone can do, and it's not a very high earning job. It's not a very respectable job. Remember, we spoke about life goals. It's not a respectable job. People think that. People think that the doctors to whom you be selling your products don't value your presence in their clinics or in their hospitals. A lot of that is true. A lot of that is false. For selling a pharmaceutical product, a medicine, as I said, sales is the channel to do that. There are new molecules that come every now and then. People need to be trained about it. The doctors need to be told about it. We always think and believe that doctors who are treating us know a lot. I can tell you from my experience working with doctors, not just in India, but outside, they don't know as much. They certainly don't know as much about the drugs, about the medicines. They know how to treat a patient, how to diagnose it, but they depend a lot on the company people to tell them about a particular drug, a particular medicine, its side effects, its benefits, the new data that comes up. As I said, my job is research, so I generate a lot of data. Someone has to go and tell why pharmaceutical product A, medicine A is better than medicine B, and all of that is done by the sales team. Right when person starts the career as a sales, they start at the lowest level, which could be a sales representative or a medical sales representative. But then every job starts at a lower level. Even a doctor fresh out of college doesn't start as the head of the department. They start as a resident or even a junior consultant, but then gradually grow up. Any pharmaceutical company, if you take out their report, people always look at what is the top line they are making, what is the sales they are generating. And if you look into the number of people in the organization, the maximum number of people you'll find is in the sales. And again, people can grow very, very fast in the sales. A lot of people ask me, do you need to do a master's course, either pharmacy or MBA, to be successful in sales? I think to be successful in sales, you do have to have different other skills, like your interpersonal skills, like you want to reach out. You should be very, very persistent with someone. You should initiate conversation with someone to be able to be successful in sales. Sales is not saying yes, sir, all the time. I sell my projects. I mean, I am into research. I am setting up these studies, but then I sell my projects to the doctors as well, and they sell their concepts to me. I fund their projects and they sell their ideas to me. So sales is a continuous process. As I said, whether you are selling Rolls Royce or a 1 rupee tablet, it's a process that no one can avoid and no one can get away from. And it's a very, very lucrative career. Maximum opportunities are in sales, and it's a very fast ladder that you can climb. One other thing that I didn't talk about when I was talking about my career graph was I have worked only in 3 companies: Ranbaxy, Abbott, and Medicines Company. A lot of people change their jobs very frequently. In an IT sector, people would be changing every 1 year or 2 years at the max. I personally am of the opinion you shouldn't be flipping jobs every 2-3 years, but rather stay in one organization for a longer period, demonstrate your capabilities there. And as I said, sales is an excellent place to do that. A lot of team play is involved, but then there is a lot of opportunity for you to shine as an individual. The next opportunity I'm going to talk about is research. Again, this is a still from an old movie. As you can see, there are 2 scientists working in a lab. And when I was in the first year, I knew this is something which I don't want to do. It requires a lot of patience. I have patience, but for some reasons, I thought I liked talking to people more than working on the test, working with the test tubes and working on the lot of novel gadgets that we have. It is highly respectable job, quite decently paying job. You are part of a very large team here. It's not that you'll be doing independent research of your own. You'll always be guided by one senior, the gentleman over here, and a lot of team men around you and a lot of team players around you. And if you are working in a corporate sector, you'll be driven by what research the corporate wants you to do. In institutes like government research institutes, the DSIRs and Department of Biotechnologies and all, still the research is very well defined what you want to do. But then, of course, there is slightly larger scope to do an independent research. And if you ask me what is the right stage to join research, I would say that you should do it definitely after post-graduation and not after undergraduation. Although there are people I know who have joined after undergraduation, went on to do their masters while on job as well as PhD, and have done quite well for themselves as well. The next one is regulatory. And when we talk about regulatory, it's regulatory both in the corporate sector as well as in the government sector. So as you know, the business of medicines is a highly regulated one, highly controlled one. So there is a department in the government of India as well as in various other governments of different countries, which is Food and Drug Administration Department. In India, we call it CDSCO. And they have their own machinery starting from Drug Controller General of India and various people under them. And I think the lowest level is a scientific officer or a drug inspector. But that's a government sector job, has its own advantages, own strengths. But again, the opportunities or the number of such jobs in the government sector is limited. Although in the drug control department, there are a lot of technical officers now who are taken on an assignment of 2 years or 4 years, and then that gets extended. So sort of permanent job, but not as permanent as it would be another job. Then the other function of regulatory in the corporate sector is that of the regulatory departments in different companies making drugs. This is for making sure the products that are approved for selling in whichever markets are as per the regulatory norms. My better half is a regulatory professional having around 25 years of experience in regulatory only. So again, people join regulatory both after undergraduation, after B.Pharm, as well as after post-graduation. Those who are eyeing for senior level positions usually do post-graduation to take up jobs in regulatory. But as I said, there are different functions even within regulatory which take people with B.Pharm as a qualification. And then there are a lot of new jobs that have come up in the last 10 years, I would say, starting with medical affairs, which is what I do. All scientific affairs in the companies are dealt under medical affairs. So what you talk to a physician, how do you position your product, how do you interpret your data, how do you maintain or manage the life cycle, a lot of that is under medical affairs. And there are undergraduates, postgraduates, PhDs, all of them have space in medical affairs, and a lot of medical doctors are also there in this as well. The other area would be medical information. Again, companies now want to update their product profiles, to update their dossiers, and a lot of that comes under medical information. Pharmacovigilance, very, very upcoming area. In the last 10, 15 years, a lot of people take pharmacovigilance as their first choice career rather than regulatory or core research in developing the medicines. A lot of people take that as pharmacovigilance. And also the health economics, which is an upcoming area in the last few years, where every product has to have a good economic sense and make sure any product that is introduced in the market gets proper reimbursement, proper value proposition and all. So these four areas, I would say, are the upcoming areas in the last 10, 12, 15 years, each one at different stages, fit in the profile of a good corporate lifestyle, good corporate job, and are quite well respected within the companies as well as in society in general. Then, of course, manufacturing has been the traditional job for undergrads as well. Someone has to manufacture the drugs, although a lot of that is done by machines. But still, people people are required to handle those machines. If you ask me whether those will be replaced by robots at some stage, I don't think so. In the near immediate future, and near immediate could be 10, 12 years, maybe 15, 20 years later, a lot of that would be more automized than what it is currently. Definitely, yes. There is a lot more automation in manufacturing now than what it was some time back. So definitely, this is another exciting space. The only, again, in my personal opinion, the downside could be it becomes monotonous at some stage. Again, not for a person like me who wants to talk to people, but definitely a very, very stable job, highly respected, very stable, and I think quite decently rewarding as well. Quality assurance and quality control, very essential for any manufacturing unit, or nowadays even for any sector as well. People lay a lot of focus on quality control and quality assurance, because at the end of the day, the outcome or the final product that comes out, be it your service, be it a product, has to have a good quality control measure, and that is achieved by good quality assurance. So I was so glad to know that Lloyd already has a postgraduate course in quality assurance. These are some of the jobs that we find in the corporate sector. And again, not exhaustive list. There is a lot more beyond these. And if we had time, we could talk about each one of those in as much details in a separate session, but then a broader overview of what we do. If we move to non-corporate sector, of course, academics is the first and the foremost choice. No offenses to the faculty here, but yeah, since the theme I've kept it light. So if there are no teachers, there can't be any students. Very, very respectable job. Again, there are different mindsets, different skill sets you need to do well in academics. You need to have loads and loads of patience. You again need to be a very good team player, because you can collaborate with researchers not only in your college, but across different colleges, and that culture is very, very common now. There are different institutes that gives you grants to do research, and Dr. Vandana spoke about some of them that Lloyd is doing already. So again, this is the essential component of pharmacy as a career. No teachers, obviously no jobs. Someone raised a hand, so we'll try and answer that later. But again, very great, stable career, although people do switch jobs across different colleges as well. But I think people know that you start off as, again, Dr. Vandana and Dr. Kumud can talk about which ladder, but then there is a defined path. You could join academics right after post-graduation and do your PhD along with it. But then I think more and more institutes are requiring, and I think it become a UGC norm as well, to do PhD to be able to have a good career, or a mandatory PhD to have a good career in academics. But academics is not just teaching, there's a lot of research that goes along with academics as well. Of course, retail and hospital pharmacy is one of the common options that a lot of people take. Some of them do take after diploma in pharmacy. A lot of them take after after graduation as well. It's a very, very respectable job as well. But the only caveat is the very, very long working hours. You could see a chemist or a pharmacist working almost for 12 to 13 hours every day, day on day, no vacation, no festivals. Chemist shops are open, pharmacies are open all throughout. And even in pharmacies, with the introduction of corporate pharmacies, the pharmacy chains, there is a lot of corporate inputs there as well. So you could have either a retail pharmacy or a hospital pharmacy, but again, a very, very stable career there as well. And I think this is the last one on my list, which is the pharmaceutical distribution, or we call wholesale business. So obviously the retailers, they do get drugs from somewhere, not directly from the company. So a very rewarding profession, but I think since it's a business, there is a lot of money involved in it to set up your own. Although now a lot of other companies, a lot of pharmaceutical companies have their own distribution networks and warehouse. And I think if you ask me, logistics is going to be the big career option in the time to come. I think those were some of the career options I wanted to briefly touch upon. And again, leave you with one last note. Okay, before that, obviously you got to be very good at filing your resume. And there is a lot of material available on internet on how to make a good resume, how to file it. And I'm sure you can talk to your seniors to take tips from them. And I'm sure Lloyd can arrange sessions like this on how to create your resume and file an application and prepare for interview as well. So this was the last note I wanted to leave you with. Again, taking a cue from my interest, just like Mr. Bachchan said in the movie Mohabbatein, I'll leave you with these notes, which you can incorporate in your professional life right at the first day of the college. Being on time, ensure to have good work ethics, don't be afraid from putting in effort, always have high energy, demonstrate positive body language, be passionate for what you do, always do something extra, being prepared for every eventuality, and being coachable. I think that's one of the things we find in corporate as a big gap. A lot of people, they come with preset notions, are very poor learners, and should have very positive attitude. So this is my take-home message. Whichever career you choose, take some of these qualities which don't require any formal coaching from anyone with you. And since the title of our talk was Papa Kehte Hain, again, I took this quote from Amitabh Bachchan, and yeah, I think we all should try and make our parents proud, ourselves proud. And I wish you good luck for the rest of our professional life. And I think now we can take up questions. I'll stop sharing my screen. Let me see how do I do it? Oh, stop share. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so that was my filmy talk. I don't know how you reacted to it, but yeah, I'll be happy to take some questions.
Yeah, it was really enriching, at the same time very entertaining as well, because Bollywood is something very close to the hearts of all Indians, irrespective of which generation we belong to. So, and Amitabh Bachchan definitely is very popular through all generations. Very well said, sir. Very well said. And I'm sure, it was very thorough, the entire professional talk and journey that you told about various, arenas. One question before, which I think that many people would be wanting to know from faculty as well as from students also, before we get on to questions from student, is that has this pandemic also brought in any other professional satellite in the case in pharmacy, which we were not aware of before this? Something like, we know about regulatory, we know production can happen, we know sales marketing can happen. But since pandemic has been an opportunity in disguise in a pharmaceutical sector, considering the quick, vaccine development and quick approvals also. So is there something that is hidden or something which is an opportunity for pharmacy professionals now, especially after the pandemic?
Sure. And I'll club this question with the question from Dr. Shilpa, which is how is AI and machine learning playing a critical role? So definitely pandemic has changed the way we approach patient care. Now, a lot of patient care before pandemic was in person. I think most of it was in person, barring some Western countries where already telemedicine was in play. So in the pandemic, telemedicine has played a huge role in following up the patients. I know this could be considered as a topic of medical profession rather than pharmacy, but I do see a lot of role pharmacy play, or the pharmaceutical professionals play in this. Some of the things that I didn't cover was obviously related to the patient journey. There is a definite role for a pharmacy graduate and a postgraduate in the patient journey, rather than just making the drugs or selling them and all other things that I covered. There have been a lot of companies that have come up which have opened up avenues for promoting telemedicine. And that's important in the research as well, where a lot of these patients in clinical trials, if I talk about, used to be followed up in person. Now, all that follow-up, including sharing of the X-rays, sharing of the blood test reports and all, is done virtually, so that the patient doesn't need to come to the hospital for a clinical trial follow-up or even for a routine consulting, and can consult the physician virtually and get benefited. There have been quite a few companies I am aware of which have been set up before pandemic, but actually grew much more during the pandemic in making the digital content available to the physicians, in making the digital access available to the patients. When I talk about medical information, I think that's where things have grown many a fold during the pandemic, where the company representatives were not accessing the physicians directly, and the entire thing got digitized, and the digital became the way. To take the next question on the AI and machine learning, I think certainly when we talk about the journey of developing a new product, we talk about close to $1.5 billion and 10 to 15 years to develop that. So a lot of that time goes into conducting clinical trials, and there is a lot of waste in there. You start with 100 molecules, 100 is even a small number. You start with 500-700 molecules and then filter down to one which eventually sees the light of the day. I think that's where, with the help of AI and machine learning, a lot of that waste is cut down, a lot of that processes is cut down, and we minimize either the time of conducting the trials, or time of the drug development, or time of the drug discovery. So definite role for pharmaceutical industry for AI and machine learning. There's a question on increasing automation in manufacturing. How is it going to affect the number of employment opportunities? I think this definitely is something we have seen in the last few years. The work that was done by the human beings is now being done more and more by the machines. I look at it similar to how the transport industry changed, how the heavy industries change, where things have become more and more automatic, where you have stuff like artificial or sensors to control various things. So definitely the number of employment opportunities will change. I wouldn't say decrease or increase, but then there will always be, with the disruption in the technology, a new opportunity that comes up. So instead of a human being manufacturing those tablets, the role changes from, say, a core manufacturing scientist to more of a quality control scientist or a quality assurance scientist. So there will always be new opportunities that come up with automation and with technologies.
Yeah, I do have another questions in my mind right now. You just commented in the end that logistics is going to be a very good and probably a very good one, the best one, the future coming profession life career option. So can you just elaborate how the logistics can be the supermost one?
Right, and I think again, pandemic did show a lot of importance of logistics management, where getting delivery of the drug or of the healthcare to the last person becomes very, very critical. Now we are talking about various pharmacy chains, and even within the pharmaceutical companies, people are trying to minimize the error. So all of that is done through bringing automation and logistics expertise in-house. I think more and more more and more companies are outsourcing their work or their logistics work to specialized logistics companies, people who know how best to ensure there is 0.0001% error in any process. I think that's where logistics become important, and that's where automation becomes very important. And people who know that, people who can manage it, I think it's a good career role for them. The next question is, what are the general goals and roles of regulatory affairs professional in pharmaceutical industry? I think if we talk about general goals and roles, any product that's intended for human use has to be regulated, has to meet the scientific requirement, has to meet the quality requirement, has to ensure it maintains the intended use all throughout the life cycle of the product. So when we talk about a general role of regulatory affairs in a pharmaceutical company, they are the ones who are custodians of the entire life cycle of the product, make sure it meets the regulatory requirements set for in that particular country, because most of the companies now export their products to other countries as well. So any product that you make has to meet the regulatory requirements of that particular country, right at the manufacturing stage. I would say even the stage of getting the actual drug ingredient from the supplier till the final product is there, and then ensuring all the licenses are in place and all the licenses are in place for the entire validity of the approval cycle. So it's an altogether very elaborate, exhaustive career. And as a must career, people can get away with not having, say, a clinical research team in-house, but then they need to have a regulatory affairs professional team in-house. Regular clinical affairs could be, say, let's say, outsourced to another company, but most of the companies would keep regulatory affairs in-house.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. PT ma'am, can you please unmute Annie when she needs to ask a question?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir, this is Dr. Annie. Sir, actually, I just wanted to ask you one thing. Like currently, we are working with a few industries and carrying out their research projects. So when we go to a company which is based on herbal or a nutraceutical company, we see that currently the scenario is that these companies do not, they're not willing to get into CTs for their herbal products or their generic, like herbal generic products. So I just wanted to have a view of this. These herbal companies, are they not why are they not that much willing to get into clinical trials? And isn't there now a high time that the herbal formulation should get into quantification, standardization, and these should be these companies should be more motivated towards clinical trials and get their get better datas? If you could
Uh,
just
Absolutely. And it takes me back to 95 when my project for my post-graduation at that time was something similar, which was related to standardization of herbal drugs. It is absolutely essential, absolutely required, in my personal opinion. But then there is a regulatory perspective to it as well. Unlike pharmaceutical products where the composition is standard, whether I make it or you make it, in case of herbal drugs, the composition actually varies. So company A could be adding 10 different herbal drugs. And again, in India, we have a history of usage of these herbal drugs. So people know why, what is the generic use of adrak versus that of say tulsi or other various drugs. So if a company A who has 10 different herbs in it wants to do a trial, again, clinical trials are one of the most expensive components of the entire drug development process. And people want to save cost on that. And there is no guarantee that the company B with 11 ingredients or company C with 12 ingredients or the same ingredients in different quantities cannot come up with their own formulation and claim to use the results of the company A. So I think that's a gray area for the regulators to understand and regulators to look for, or to what extent they want to standardize the clinical trials in herbal products. As I said, the products have been in use for centuries and centuries in India. So people as such know that it is going to have some effect, positive effect on the patient. But because there is no standardization of the composition, that's where the companies shy away from spending their money on doing clinical trials. Nowadays, I've seen quite a few companies still do clinical trials in herbal area. But again, those are large companies and not every small company will be willing to spend their budget on doing a clinical trial in herbals. Instead, now at least they try and ensure the quality of the product is consistent and maintained.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Like adding to this, again, the query arise to my mind is that how about the new drug, medical devices and cosmetic act? This was having the main focus on the clinical trial itself, their compensation and everything. So has it also some regulatory, you since this is a gray area, has it also got some new regulation for the herbal, again, regulation?
I'm not sure if there have been changes to the compensation norms or the clinical trial requirements, but I can check and come back to you. Given my area is a medical device, so I can definitely talk about it. I think the area of medical devices has become a lot more standardized now compared to when I started off in 2002, with proper norms in place, proper norms both related to quality as well as to clinical trials and everything associated with clinical trials in the sense of if what are the size of clinical trials to be done, what happens if a patient gets injured, and also all of that is very well structured now, very well documented now. For herbals, I still doubt what are the exact norms and whether those are in black and white.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for that. So Vanda ma'am, so I guess any more questions is there in the chat box? So sir, that was really wonderful session and your slides, especially. Yeah, ma'am, please.
No, I'm good. Please carry on.
Okay. So that was really wonderful session. I mean, we just, when we listen to something, we may forget, but when we see to it, we really keep in mind for a longer period of time. And your slides were really quite informative. Sir, we do have one question, please. I would request you to take it up. Like PharmD has an immense role in patient compatibility. Still, why it has not taken that pace?
Again, a lot to do with how the regulatory framework or policymakers, how they act on it. PharmD has been very well accepted and established since many years in the Western world. In fact, a lot of people take it as their preferred career option in Western world vis-a-vis medical doctors. Again, for some of the reasons I described, very long career journey and all. But in India, that hasn't taken place yet to the expectations of the policymakers. I think a lot of work needs to be done from. So there are different stakeholders involved. There is PCI, there is the government, and there are institutes who need to have the capability to run these PharmD courses. The acceptance obviously will come once all these things are in place. So it's a kind of chicken and egg situation. There isn't the right way forward to it. I think everyone, all stakeholders will have to work together to take PharmD to the level where it should actually be.
Also, to add on to this, Manish sir, is Kumar, to answer your question also, because PharmD is more clinical oriented and our hospitals are still to develop a clinical pharmacist role. There is, I wouldn't say there is no role, but yes, there is a scarcity of roles of clinical pharmacists in hospitals, whereas there is an immense opportunity for students doing diploma in pharmacy and bachelor in pharmacy. They are, absorbed in both retail pharmacy as well as into various production roles that Manish sir has just elaborated on. Everything from the conception of an idea to the sales and marketing to post-marketing, and pharmacovigilance. So there is an immense scope. Whereas the job roles for pharmacy professionals are concerned, once they've done their 4-year bachelor in pharmacy or a 2-year diploma in pharmacy. Whereas a role like a PharmD is more prevalent in Western countries because there are jobs existing. So any education will be popular when there are jobs, when there is employment. No wonder that BTech students, colleges are shutting down a lot of BTech colleges since a long time, and because there has been employment issues. Whereas in case of pharmacy, there has been an uprise and an upsurge in the number of entrants, in the number of colleges which are opening up, because it is all related to employment opportunities. So similarly in PharmD, less jobs, so less widespread information about the course as well, and all the stakeholders, like Manish sir said, have to work together. The hospitals, the industry, the people who frame the course, all of them have to work together and take PharmD to a level where more roles are created. Then it'll be more popular. But yes, thumbs up to all the people who are doing their bachelor's and diploma, because that is where the future lies. I hope that answers, Kumar.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Just to apprise you, Manish sir, like Professor Kanchan Kohli has also joined the meeting, like one of the faculties from your alma mater. Kanchan ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Kanchan ma'am, are we audible to you?
Sorry, Manish. I was sitting in one meeting, so I've just come out. Actually, there is some kind of the internet issue. So I'm very, glad to have you here at Lawyer Institute. Naturally, our student will be benefited when when they will learn from you, and your experience from CRO, from drug development. And that's the need of the hour, and that's what Professor Vandana I heard, that there is need that we all should go together, industry, hospital, and our institutes. Then only we can come up with the clinical form of or the hospital form of the things. And I'm really thankful to you. You have joined this webinar over here, and it's very good. And
my pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
So Manish,
So
just to apprise you why Kanchan ma'am is also here, and
Sorry.
Kanchan ma'am is a professor with us here. In fact, she's the director research, and under her guidance, we have obtained this DSIR approval, which I just told you about, and we are next going for NABL approval as well, fetching a lot of projects from DST, and we are applying to AICT, DRDO. We are working for them, and she has built a team of hers which are working only for research in the campus, which is which is really very unheard of in private institutes like ours. So, we now got a Zeta sizer, and we are working on a lot of sophisticated equipments as well. So we really wanted her to join, and I think somebody requested her to join the session for some time, because I think she was your teacher as well when you studied.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. And I think when we talk about academics as a career, that's the we don't plan for these collaborations, but these do happen, and there are a lot of efforts that the institute takes to get these efforts. But then these keep the academicians kicking and doing more collaboration and more research work. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And thanks a lot, sir, for such a wonderful lesson. And I hope the students will also take away that they actually have to grow the perseverance and the patience if they want to go into the research, or they have to develop the interpersonal and communication skills if they want to go into the marketing, and many other points. They were quite noteworthy, and will be taken, and hope that we'll be seeing you on a physical mode also sometime in our campus. So shall we wind up here? So thank you, Vanda, ma'am. And thank you.